And we are finally back. What's up, everybody? My name is DeAno Jackson. I'm your executive producer of Geeks and Around. We are here, of course, to resume our Breaking Bad discussions with episode 509, Blood Money. This is going to be real exciting. I really like this episode a lot. Let's go ahead and kick through introductions. Of course, joining me, as always, our host, Matt Moore. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just hanging out. We just finished up Dexter. And we had like a little 5-10 minute break, and now we're back at it.
That's how it goes. Like, you know, we never sleep. Also, it's like joining the panel today. We got Isaiah. What's going on, man?
I'm doing great, man. Just need that blue stuff. Need that blue, but I'm great.
Yeah, I need that blue. It's like, for those of y'all that don't know, Isaiah also writes up a lot of reviews and whatnot in the Geeks Around community. Y'all definitely want to check that out. The link to the community will be in the description for this video below. Also joining us, Knuckles Goldberg, creeping in the shadows. What's going on, man? Always good to see you. Also, it's like, we got Reggie back, and he's on the computer and everything. Now, normally, y'all used to seeing Reggie, you know, trying to hop in from his Nexus, you know what I'm saying, or his old-school broke-ass Evo, but it's all good. We got Reggie in here for real. What's up, brother?
Don't hate on the Evo.
I could never do that. Mine's still sitting over there in my damn self. And last and certainly not least, we have Todd Grundle, who among being the super sexy author that he is on his audiobooks.com, also hosts a lot of the community discussions on various shows. Like he did, can't even think, my brain's freeze. Did House of Cards for us, and we're gonna have a whole lot more stuff coming up this fall. What's going on, Todd?
Hello, John Eric did House of Cards. I did the failed Arrested Development.
Ah, that's right.
Yes, and the long in development American Horror Story.
Hey, well, don't worry, we're going to take care of that. We're going to have a lot of good stuff for you guys coming up for the rest of this year. But let's just go ahead and jump into it. It's like, I mean, Blood Money is like, first off, let me just say, I love this episode. This episode was pretty much about two things. It was pretty much how Hank dealt with the fallout of learning exactly what his brother-in-law is, and the kind of showing the beginning of the end is like showing these two in these opposing positions as we're about to continue on.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool as you built up to this idea that Hank knew what was going on. Walt was starting to figure out that Hank knew what was going on, and then it really kind of hit a head right at the end of the episode. It was a really good episode, but some people weren't too impressed.
Yeah, we're not going to mention who.
We're not going to mention Todd's name even once.
Yeah, it's totally not the person that you guys are seeing on your main screen right now or anything like that.
No, not that guy.
But we'll get into that. It's like, let's go ahead and just kick this from the beginning. It's like, in the beginning, the teaser for the episode, we kind of saw another flash forward to Walt at 52, returning to what's left of his house. It's like, it looks like it got repossessed from. It looks like it just got taken.
Like a SWAT raid.
That's not a word, but you know it's a word here. Taken. I know it's supposed to be taken, but you know, work with me.
Sure.
But the most important part of that sequence, I thought, was seeing the spray painted Heisenberg in a living room. So at this point in the future, Walt's identity as this meth dealing, murderous, ruthless Heisenberg is pretty much a known entity.
Yeah, it first off, the house looked like it should have been a cracked-in, at least in my opinion. Like in one of the earlier seasons, he walked into a house that looked a lot like his house in that particular scene, and there were people doing drugs all over the freaking place. It looked like that without the people there anymore. And of course, like he goes and he gets his little package from behind the plug. And what was her name? Caroline's. These are Carolyn.
Yeah.
These are out and
Carol. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol. How you doing?
Yeah,
it was funny just seeing the look on his neighbor's face when she saw him and recognized him for being who he was. Like, I mean, she was sitting. I almost felt bad for her. She's standing there holding her groceries, just in this state of, I don't know. I think there was a lot of shock and fear as she realized who this was. And the second he's like, just like calmly, "Hello, Carol. Groceries on the floor. Fuck it."
Right, that was classic. I mean, that's how Breaking Bad does it. It just does it in the most awesome fashion way. And but in the whole opening, I'm surprised no one hasn't caught on to that. But is anyone knows anyone knows what jacket Walter was wearing? It looked like Jesse's jacket. If you looked at it closely, like
which one? You mentioned that in a comment somewhere before, and I was wondering which jacket. Like I didn't notice myself.
When he's gonna go way back, but remember Jesse and Mike was going to pick up the money way into the desert. It was like money drops, and it was like the whole drug run. I mean, this whole money pickup thing when Mike and Jesse was in. He had that same jacket on, which Walter has a jacket on that Walter has. So I was like, wait a minute, doesn't that jacket look familiar? It looks like Jesse's jacket.
And he's in a Monte Carlo. Just saying.
Right. So it makes me wonder, like, wait.
Was that a Monte Carlo?
I know where you guys are going with this, because it was a relatively red post.
Yeah.
Do you know where we're going with this, or where they're going with this, DeAno?
I think so, but I don't go on with it.
Okay, but because you guys said beforehand that Walter White mimics or copies his fallen victims' habits. Like Gus's habit and then Mike's habit.
Well, Gus's Volvo he pulls up to the Denny's in. Mike's drinks on the rocks. Before that, he drinks it neat.
Right.
Now you're pointing out the jacket. Somebody else mentioned Monte Carlo and cutting the crusts off his bread. Like, who is it? Crazy Eights or Tuco?
Crazy Eight.
Yeah.
No, Crazy Eight.
So basically, what they're saying is the theory is that Walter White takes up the traits of everyone he kills, or at least a trait from everyone he kills. So their theory is basically everyone's dead.
Yeah, basically.
Or at least everyone important.
Because don't forget, he's using Skylar's maiden name in the Denny's and doing the pancakes in the way she did.
Yeah. And going to the trunk and checking it and putting stuff in the trunk like Jesse did.
Mm-hmm.
Like Skylar from Heroes.
Nice. But it's like moving on past that is like then you know, after we see the intro, we finally have kind of the scene that we were all waiting for, that we spent a year waiting for at this point, and that was what would happen when Hank came out of that bathroom. It's like, and that's really, it's like, I didn't know how he was going to play that. It's like, you know, was he going to come out and just be like, "You're Heisenberg," and, you know, and do it all right then, or would he just arrest him, or, I mean, what was the plan here? And I think that Hank was going through so many emotions in his head that he kind of had proof in front of him, or at least had finally nudged his opinion in the direction that his brother-in-law, who he wasn't really capable of seeing this way before, was this, you know, this. There's really no other way to put it. It's like, I mean, I don't want to say psychopath, but it's like, I mean, it's not far off. All of the deaths that Walt has orchestrated over the course of the past 5 seasons, he's been responsible for pretty much everything that has gone wrong with Hank since season 1.
Right, and we go to the whole Walt and Hank figuring out how long he been on that toilet. It was like it was nighttime when it ended, and it's morning time. Like, gee, did he stay in the toilet, or did he make a camp in the toilet? But I think like he maybe went to the toilet multiple times to read that book or look at the evidence. Like, no, this can't be. No, and just finally get released to get out of the toilet for the last time. Like, okay, it's like he was just so shell shocked and so.
Yeah, it was smart for him to come back and really make sure. I mean, you know, it wasn't until he really went back through all of the evidence before he, you know, confronted Walt. So that was That was pretty cool.
That was a good scene too. Him just doing his investigation work at home and just doing it. It was very, very amazing work.
Dean Norris was the star for sure of this episode. It was amazing.
Yeah, I have to throw out big MVP award to Dean Norris. I was on the edge of my seat that whole scene. Just it was like he really did figure out not just character but the actor just like really found out, oh well, my best friend's been killing people or whatever.
Yeah, because Hank does care about Walter a lot, and seeing how he's this cold-blooded kingpin monster really broke him down. Like he was crying a little bit, which was like in his eyes. Like he was very in sorrow and also in anger. So that was really good work by Mr. Norris.
And then, of course, he confronts him, punches him in the eye, and basically goes, "Hey, I fucking know." And how does Walt respond? Basically, even if you didn't know, which you don't, even if you did, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, and you should watch the fuck out anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll get to that in a bit. It's like we're going to end off with that final confrontation in the garage. It's like I know those of you watching really want to see that. It's like I am checking the comments. We will get to that. Trust me. but in this so far, it's like you have just Walt. Walt is that was one of the other things this episode was about. It's like I forgot to mention that earlier. This episode was about Walt really trying to get out of that life and to be this normal person. It's like, he had all these kinds of ideas about it's like, oh, maybe we should change around these air fresheners and do this because these are the big sellers and blah, blah, blah. That's all inconsequential. The point is he's trying to be this normal person now. He really is trying. He thinks that he can just go ahead and leave that world behind. And then here comes Lydia. Goes ahead and puts a damper on that really quick.
Yeah,
first off, that actually kind of bugged me at first, is that Walt had this job, as it were, making meth, and then he gets out of that, and what does he end up doing? He goes to his wife's job, of which he's an owner of course, but she has this role of running this car wash, and he just assumes that role, basically making her just the accountant and supervisor. Like, I don't know. I think he kind of, he kind of overstepped his bounds family-wise that way.
That's his nature, though. He does it all the time. That's how Walter is. He always takes over a situation or a place. That's how he does it. He's just like that.
He did have a good point about opening a second car wash.
Yeah, just like Gus. Just like Gus did with his restaurant. Went to expand his restaurant. So, again, that's copying somebody.
I never thought of that. That's true.
Well, I think Walt pretty much learned his lessons well from Gus. He kind of learned everything he needed to. Let me rephrase that. Everything he thinks he needs to know. And actually, there was actually. Sorry about this, guys. There was one thing from the teaser that I kind of glossed over that I really wanted to talk about. It's not like Walt just went back to his old house just for the nostalgia factor. He went back there for the ricin that he stuck in the outlet. The question is, at this point, that far off in the future, Walt doing these things with a purpose. So it's like, what exactly do y'all think that ricin is for?
Ricin and the big gun. That's what throws me off. The big gun, and then he goes back to get the ricin. It kind of makes me think the writers went last season's flash forward or the beginning's flash forward, 501. They were like, when they finished, like, oh shit, we forgot he's got ricin in his house. We don't need a big gun. But no, it's got to be something big. It's got to be something big because he's got two big weapons.
Well, if your theory holds true that he gets the various characteristics of the people he's killed, we have not seen him adopt, at least that I've seen, any of Hank's traits. Maybe the right is to take out the final piece.
You see, I have a thing about that, and I agree, but I don't know if we're there yet. I don't know if Are we ready to speak on that? It's a wild speculation, sort of.
Wild speculations are at the end of Dexter. I don't know how DeAno wants to do it.
Well, then I guess.
Yeah, we'll handle wild speculations a little bit later here as well.
All right. Because I got one based on the raisins in the egg.
The ricin.
The raisins in the oatmeal.
That's right, rice. It's like rice.
It's hard to say who's done it, where the rice was born, just because there's some unknowns that we haven't seen yet. The people that what's her name, Lydia, works for. Yeah.
I thought about them Czechoslovakians or something, whoever they are, those Eastern Europeaners.
One guy.
There are a lot of big bads that we haven't seen yet.
Oh, matter of fact, the guy who gave Walter gave the last batch of meth too. That guy who said his name Heisenberg. Like we haven't seen that guy in a while. Like he's a powerful drug dealer too. Like maybe that big gun's for them. So again,
I think it's way too late to introduce another big bad. I think the rest of the season is going to be with him dealing with the problems he already has. It's too late to really introduce anything new.
Yeah, now they got 67% purity. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, and it's like if you have the recipe for this 98% pure stuff, how are you going to let it fall to 68%? I mean, seriously.
It's all Todd's fault. Todd's fucking the whole thing up.
and that's something else. Is Todd actually kind of had a presence in this episode without actually being mentioned because of the fact that Walter was having this discussion with Jesse, and it just showed that him and Jesse had stopped working together a while now. Jesse didn't know that Walter was out of the game. Like, as far as Jesse knew, Walter was still cooking and was still cooking with Todd.
Uh-huh.
So Todd had a presence in this episode, even if he wasn't actually in it.
Right.
But of course, he left everything to Todd. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Plus, you can't trust Todd. He has no soul.
Exactly. He killed a child. So
exactly. It's like there's really no.
Because he's a ginger.
Never trust a ginger or a Todd.
Well, yeah, I guess there's that too.
Wow,
Yeah.
he went that far too. Okay, it's both ginger and he shot a child. Okay.
But it's kind of interesting that we haven't seen him yet. So it's like, I mean, we know that Walt has kind of stepped away from this, but the only one that was still in the game at this point was Todd. So the question becomes now, what's he doing? Could he be a potential threat coming up in the future?
I don't think so.
I think Todd's going to start putting chili pepper in his mouth. Just saying.
Yeah.
Get that chili pea.
Get that band. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I think Todd's other uncle's going to be shown in this Carrot Top.
Oh, his other uncle. That's right.
Oh, good God. Don't even joke like that.
The Carrot Top is going to be a guest star.
Oh, good God. But it's like, I mean, one of the more surprising things about this episode so far is how well that Skylar seems to have adjusted to everything. Because I have to admit that during the mid-season finale last year, I kind of thought this was just kind of Skylar putting on airs because we know how badly she lost it in the first half of season 5. But now it's like, I mean, she honestly seems to be, okay, we're just going to go with this. We're just going to go with this. But there is something that, of course, Walt knows that she doesn't. Mainly the fact that his cancer has returned.
Yep, he's kryptonite.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, that's kind of what brought this entire show into fruition, and I don't know, guys. It's like, I mean, is that how this is going to end? Is like, I mean, is Walt not going to see his end in a blaze of glory? Just going to end up dying from cancer after all this is said and done?
I'll say both.
I don't think so, but that's for later.
I think that is an option. But really, this show, especially over the past season, has been compared to Scarface quite often. And so really, I think that's a big possibility of how it's going to end. Is he's going to see that his empire has fallen, and he's just going to kill everybody. And die himself.
Guys in that movie.
He doesn't get too
On the nose, though. I kind of don't think that they're just going to go exactly for that, even though they've been kind of saying that's what's going to happen. I don't think they would just hit it right so on the nose.
Well, he got no choice, really. I mean, what else can Walter do?
That's a really good point, but it's like, I mean, we see Walter doing this whole gearing up thing. It's like, my question is, like, I mean, what is this for? Who is this against? It's like, I mean, yes, there's always a chance to be someone that we haven't seen, but it's like, I like to think that it was...
I think there's 3 possibilities, really. There's Hank, of course. There's the checks from Lydia. But there's also one loose end that we haven't seen in a while, which is that Swedish company that Gus Fring owned. And we know that that loose end is not wrapped up yet from whoever was...
Well, isn't that still with Lydia? Isn't that what she's from?
Because you work with Gus as well. So,
yeah, Madrigal.
Yeah, Madrigal.
Yeah. I think that's all still in the same, I think that's part of...
What about...
Maybe, but that hasn't really been put together in the show.
What about that, the guy that Walt and Jesse always comes to for legal advice? I forgot his name.
It's all good, man.
He's getting his own spin-off show. He's fine.
Oh, well. I would like to see that.
Well, they said it could be a prequel.
I don't think he's a dominant enough character to get his own spin-off show.
Well, who, Saul?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that is where the spin-off is. They've been talking about. Is like, I mean, it is a known fact at this point that Saul is going to survive this.
Yes.
Yeah. That is something that has been very clearly stated. There was absolutely no mystery behind that. Saul will not be dying this season.
They will have to rework the character if they're making a spin-off against him, because Saul is way too much a reactionary character to carry a show.
But he's too smart too. He's a very smart character.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like
you
they
telling me
do
you wouldn't
that,
watch the Saul Goodman comedy show?
What's that?
Well, that's
you
just
telling me that you wouldn't watch the Saul Goodman comedy show? Because that's how they would go with this.
They've got a lot of comedy on Breaking Bad. Badger and the Star Trek talk and.
Oh, that was fun. That was classic.
The Saul Goodman show I would assume would be that tone. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I would like that tone. That Star Trek thing was funny as hell.
Yeah, it would probably be like a half-hour thing, just whatever.
Can we talk Jesse yet?
Go for it.
Please do.
We got Jesse basically having his own little mental breakdown.
Guilt issues.
And wanting to give, no matter who it will hurt, wanting to give this money to, now I'm forgetting
Mike's granddaughter.
Yeah,
Kaylee Ehrmantraut.
And of course, like some kid's mom or something like that.
Right, the parents of the Mexican kid that was shot by the ginger.
You mean the Caucasian kid? He was a Mexican in my book.
Even though it would throw up millions of flags, he wants to give this money to him.
Well, yeah, the bottom line is that he wanted this money gone.
Yeah, instead he just did a delivery boy with it.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
It was funny.
Some of that shit went in the sewer too. I'm all like, wow.
He didn't care.
And exactly. I completely agree with Isaiah there. It's like, I mean, that's exactly it. He didn't care. It's like he didn't care who it went to, where the money was. He just didn't want it anymore. Yeah. Because that's what the title of this episode derived from. It's like, I mean, he knew that's all blood money. Yeah. He doesn't want it. It's like he is so tired of this life. He is so tired of the death and everything. And that's kind of been also an interesting point because, like, I mean, remember how all this started? I mean, he was the drug dealer in the beginning, and it was Walt coming to him trying to get into the business. So now, at this point, it's like, I mean, Jesse's been in the business that back in season 1 he wanted, and now he absolutely wants no part of.
Right, because it cost him so much.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think that one of the reasons he started getting money away, I mean, really fast, because Walter White actually, he didn't believe Walter's lies about Mike. It's like, Mike is still out there, and you saw Jesse's face, like, no, he's not. He's not alive. Because Jesse knows Walter White so well that he would lie about almost anything. So that's why he just went postal.
Yeah, and I actually really wanted to talk about that scene because for me, I thought that was a really powerful scene as Walt is trying to convince Jesse that it's like, oh yeah, Mike's alive, he's out there. The last time I saw him, I gave him his money and he was gone. I need you to believe me, and it wasn't just that he needed to believe me because it was like just a thing. It's like if Jesse didn't believe him, then Walt would really have no choice than to kill him.
Yeah.
And Walt didn't want to do that. And you could see just from how Jesse was reacting to everything that he absolutely did not believe Walt. But he was just so done with all of this that
he was trapped.
He didn't have the energy to argue with him. It's like, I mean, just like, obviously you're full of shit, but I don't care anymore. I just want to be done.
Right.
I just thought that was so powerful.
Like, he was just tired with his stupid friends. He was tired with the drug money. He was tired with everything. We never explain what happened to his old girlfriend at all. Like, what happened to his old girlfriend? Did they break up or something? If that did.
Yeah, he broke up with her.
Yeah.
But that's such a... I didn't even think about that line. It hit me when he said that line, I need you to believe me. But I didn't think about the fact that I need you to believe me because otherwise I have to kill you. That makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's totally what I got from it. Because that's something Walt doesn't want to have to do.
But he will do it.
Oh, he will. He absolutely will, but he doesn't want to. It's like over the course of the last 5 seasons, very obviously, there's been a lot of a father and surrogate son relationship between Walt and Jesse. I mean, even to the point where he once accidentally called his own son Jesse.
Right.
That was what, last season, I think?
Yeah, last season.
Yeah.
And,
so it's like, I mean, there's this very strong bond. He doesn't want anything to happen to Jesse. He really doesn't.
Right.
But if it gets down to get down, Walt will do what he has to do, just like he's always done.
Heisenberg would take over quick.
Exactly.
Like,
so that's why he's like, I mean, he was pretty much begging Jesse. It's like, I mean, I think even Walt knew that Jesse knew that he was lying to him, but it's like, just because he said it twice, I need you to believe me. I mean, he didn't say, I'm telling you the truth, this is what happened. He's saying, I need you to believe me. This is a lie, but I need you to believe this lie because I need you to believe it. You have to.
Jesus said,
because the alternative I can't take.
Right.
You know, that kind of changes my whole slightly negative opinions I had on tonight's episode, because that was one of my big issues, was the Jesse plot line. I mean, it was just not what I was looking for. And when I quoted you, DeAno, in a post earlier, when you said, now we've met the players, next week the games will begin, I thought that was a great description of the episode, because I know that's what they were doing. They were setting it up. Everybody knows who everybody is now. Heisenberg's on the wall, you know, and next week it's going to begin. I guess I was being spoiled because I just wanted the big bang right off the beginning. But now seeing that and seeing what they're building up, that really it changes a lot for me, at least on my perspective of last night's episode.
Can I say something? I just want to say something on the overall episode itself. In response to Todd, I did not watch the first 8 episodes of this season.
Wow.
Since they first aired. So it's been a while. So I got back into this, and they did the last time on Breaking Bad type of thing, and it was woefully inadequate. Like, I went into this episode not remembering crap from when was the last time this show aired?
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah, I mean,
last year.
And I mean, we're in August already, guys. So I don't know. I think that while it was a good episode, it did not catch me up as much as I would have liked to. And I think that was one of the purposes of this episode, is to catch you up. But I didn't think it did it as much as was needed.
Okay.
I would completely agree with that. It's like, I mean, for me, I actually did go ahead and kind of, rewatch everything because I wanted to make sure that everything was fresh in my mind. Because A year is a long time to go between episodes, particularly when you're in our position and you're watching pretty much every fucking thing that comes on television. So it's like, wait a second, what? Who? Oh, wait a second, who's this fucker again? So I was like, yeah, I did have to go ahead and catch myself up. Even for those of you watching, it's like we did post. We found a YouTube video that actually was a pretty epic recap on everything that happened in the first few seasons. You guys can check that out on geeksaround.com. But it did require some catch up for you to fully grasp the gravity of everything that happened in this episode.
I agree with that too. Even I rewatched the last episodes of last year. It was kind of confusing because they jumped around a little bit. It was like last time when Breaking Bad, like okay. But again, that was no big issue for me though.
Hey, at least it's not like Sherlock where you have to wait 1.5 years to 2 years between seasons.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Don't even get me started on that. I've been holding off on watching the last 2 episodes just because I don't want to get stuck and be like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do now?
Or Arrested Development.
Oh, yeah, that was what, 4 years?
Well, luckily, the Orange is the New Black might come on like this coming fall, I hope. It's going to be so awesome.
I would not be holding my breath for that. I wouldn't count on that coming up anytime before spring 2004.
Yes,
or 2014. Y'all know what I meant. But
I think that is the actual date.
Yeah, make your ass wait forever.
Okay, but all of this leads up to is like now we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. Walt finds a tracker on his car, a tracker that he finds very, very familiar, because it's the same thing that he and Hank used when they were trying to track Gus.
Right, together.
And he finds that on his car, so he goes on to confront Hank at his house. And at this point, Hank has, of course, he's got all the files for the investigation, and it's like, actually, before we get into that invite, let me go ahead and talk on this. I don't think we've talked about Hank enough yet.
Yes.
We saw Hank poring over the files and going over things that happened way back in season 1, like Walt and Jesse still in the methylamine from that warehouse. He's going over every single thing that happened.
Like a real detective.
And just kind of piecing this all together about how all this time it's been his brother-in-law. Like, I mean, by this point, he's definitely accepted it. He's compared to the handwriting in the book that he stole from Walt's bathroom to the lab notes that he found from Gail. And he sees they met, so he's just trying to he's piecing all of this all together, piece by piece, and he's kind of seeing just the litany of lies and everything that he's been missing, and it's been blowing his mind. But after Walt actually confronts him in his garage when he's taking on all the evidence, it's like I'll admit I was holding my breath during the scene.
Same here.
When Walt comes out with that with the tracker and says like, yeah, I found this on my car, and Hank doesn't say a fucking thing, but
close that garage door.
Close the garage door, and he's just sitting and they're staring at each other as the garage door is closing, and I'm like, oh fuck, here it comes. This is it. Oh shit. Shit's about to go down. And sure enough, the second that garage door is down, and we finally have, I think, the confrontation that we've been kind of waiting to see, honestly, since season 1.
Basically.
When I was watching it and the garage door came down, I thought that's where they were going to end the episode.
Same here. I thought like they're going to close it.
Yeah, same here.
There were actually a couple points that were like that in this episode, where I was just like, okay, they're going to end it here. Oh no, I guess they're going to end it here. But that was kind of the first one was when, or the main one was when that door closed.
Right.
Yeah, because I was like, shit's about to get real.
Yeah, may I just say that Hank, knowing that Walt knows about that tracker, why didn't Hank like put it farther under his car?
Right.
Or hide it better?
I'm actually going to go a little bit further than that. I will admit I was a little bit surprised that Hank, now fully understanding and knowing everything that Walt is capable of, goes ahead and outs the fact that he knows. I mean, up until then, Hank was relatively safe. It's like, I mean, just my brother-in-law, blah, 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 blah. But Hank put it out there. It's like, I know you're Heisenberg. So he has outed himself as a threat to Walt. Okay,
Which is a bad idea.
he's outed himself as a threat to Walt. It's like, oh, let's have a little history lesson, shall we? What has happened to previous threats to Walt? I mean, can we remember that? Let me see. Tuco, dead. Those two first other drug dealers, including the informant, dead. Gus fucking Fring, dead.
Mike.
10 guys in prison. He had them killed in a matter of 2 minutes.
And Mike, don't forget Mike.
Yeah, and Mike. Everybody who's come against Walt so far is dead. Hank knows this. Hank knows that this is Heisenberg. He kills any threat to him, and he goes ahead and outs himself as being a threat to him.
Yeah.
Before
The
he has
reason
actual
being is
evidence?
because what did all those people have in common? What did they all have in common? They were not family.
Right.
And I think that is what Hank is relying on, is that Walt won't cross that line.
I don't think
apparently he doesn't know that Walt poisoned the kid to get what he wants.
But I think that tracker. I also think that tracker was there.
Walt's relying on.
I was gonna say, maybe Hank put that tracker there so easily so Walter can actually meet him and confess to him that he's Heisenberg. Like that can't make. That's why it makes sense to me. Like he put it there, put it there so easily for Walter to find once he figures it out. Like the book was gone, and he was Heisenberg. So
I'm going to disagree because I think Walt picked up some of Gus Fring's psychic abilities. So how do you know how to look for that GPS?
Yeah, because if it happens to Gus, it can happen to him.
Do you think Walt to tread lightly though was just a flat out threat, or was it just him, saying that just if Hank brings this all out, it's gonna destroy the family?
Oh, I think it was the most lightly. I think it's the most light threat he's ever given.
Ever.
I think if he had that conversation with anyone else that was, or basically anyone who's not related to him, he would have said, you know what, you need to fucking tread lightly because otherwise you'll find yourself dead. Like,
Right.
he would have said that. However, because it's his brother-in-law, he was very tactful and he was very subtle, much more subtle than he ever would have been. The threat was obviously there, but it was
He's playing
a lot
mind games.
lighter than it would have normally been.
Yeah, I'll totally
he
go
didn't
sign
talk
out
that
as well.
softly to he didn't talk that softly to Silent.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that line rivaled the "I am the danger" lines. It's just it was really close up there because he looks at him. He's like, I don't even know who you are, and if you don't know who I am, then maybe the best thing for you to do would be to tread lightly. I mean, that was powerful. I don't think it was as veiled or light of a threat as one would think. I think that's the only logical threat he could have delivered. And Heisenberg is a chess player. And that was just the smartest move he could make.
Oh yeah.
I think that was a very strong threat. Like, look at me, look what I've done, and if I'm not who you think I am, then you need to watch out.
I completely agree with Todd. It's like, that was a very solid threat from Heisenberg. There was absolutely no mystery about it. It's like, Hank read between the lines, because you guys remember during that whole thing, it's like, Walt was trying to deny it. It's like, no, this isn't what you think, and I'm not this person that you think I am. But at that point, Walt was not fucking around. It's like, I don't know. I don't even know who you are anymore. Yeah, well, if you don't know, motherfucker, you might want to watch where you step. Let's try that shit. And that was an understanding that both of them had. It's like, that's why in the Geeks Around community, I made the comment that I made. It's like, the players have met each other at this point. It's like, there was absolutely no question about it. Walt knows who Hank is, and Hank knows who Walt is. So this next episode, 510, the game starts.
Right, and bless Hank and Walter knows. Well, Hank really knows that Walter will never see a jail cell in his whole life because his cancer is back, and Walter would still get away with it no matter what, really. Even if he did have evidence, his cancer would still take over strongly. So Hank is still thinking, like, how am I going to get this motherfucker quickly before his cancer gets him? It's like, man, time's really playing against him.
And that leads to my wild speculation that I'm itching to tell so as soon as I can.
Mine too.
No, go for it. We're just going to go ahead and kick it off right now. Wild speculation time on Geeks Around. We have exactly fucking. Wait for it. We have 7 episodes left of Breaking Bad, period. Not just in this season, but forever. There will be no more Breaking Bad after this. 7 episodes to go. Wild speculation. Begin.
The ricin, the guns, the whole fucking 9 yards is so Walter White can fucking break into DEA, shoot every fucking person he possibly can before they gun him down. It's a murder-suicide. He's doing that because he's going to die of cancer anyway. He doesn't want to go through the pain of it. Everything he cares about is dead, so he might as well take as many fucking people out with him as he possibly can.
My thoughts are... What do you say, Reg?
Marie gets the ricin. That's my wild
Okay,
card.
Marie gets the rice, and that's interesting. It's like, now what do you suppose Marie would do with it?
I've been saying it for the last couple seasons. She's a goner.
He's going to kill her.
Gonna kill Marie.
I think she's the only one who doesn't die. Because you know what? The B characters didn't die in Scarface.
I think Skylar and Walt Jr. die.
I agree with that.
What about the baby?
And I think Madrigal is coming back.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Magical is definitely coming back. It's like there are a lot of. It's like Vince Gilligan did an interview a couple of weeks ago that I read. There are lots of villains in this. There's villains that we know, and there's villains that we don't know yet. So it's like, I mean, there are definitely going to be some new players that we haven't seen before that are linked to probably Gus.
Right. I
Again,
think
speculation. Walt takes the M60 down to Gray Matter, handles some business.
My other one might be more crazier, but Walt is gonna have a assassination/suicide attempt on that lady who met him at the car wash. I forgot her name.
Lydia.
Yeah, Lydia, and maybe she's in witness. Maybe she was talking to the DA about Walter White, and maybe he knows about her, and he's gonna pretty much blow shit up. He's gonna fuck everything up because he's Walter White. He's Heisenberg because he got that big gun, and when all else fails, he's gonna take the ricin and end it there. Just be done.
I got 2 words for you guys: ricin bullet.
See, I don't think it's any of that. I think
Interesting.
here's what I'm thinking. The Ryzen, the gun, the big threat. I'm thinking it's the checks, or it's the guy who he sold it to. Say my name. That's his threat now. The cancer is gone. The chemo's over because he's got his hair back in the flash forward. It's either that or he stopped taking the therapy. But I'm thinking the chemo's gone because that's the only reason why I could see Skylar. Well, people he cares about being dead. Now he probably killed Hank too. He probably, the cops can't get him, but the world knows he's Heisenberg, but they're not able to actually get him. But these other baddies are after him, and that's who he's going to get, because in the end of the day, he killed all the people he loves to protect himself. Exact opposite of what he, started out for, because that's his breaking of bad.
Right, Heisenberg has complete control of Walter White's personality. It's full on. Like, Heisenberg is Heisenberg, nothing else.
What if the Czechs or Madrigal or whomever ends up going after Waltz and his family, and Waltz in the ensuing battle ends up doing something that hurts his family? What if it's an accident? I could see that.
It could be an accident.
Could be.
Though I'm thinking to kill Hank, he's got to kill Skylar, because I don't think Skylar would handle it. He's got to kill Marie, so maybe that's how. Maybe Marie does get the ricins. That's why I think Skylar's got to die, and then unfortunately maybe Walt Jr. catches his father, and now Walt Jr.'s got to get it too.
I think Walter's
Raoul takes over the car wash.
Right. I think Walter White's gonna set up Hank again, like what Taco and the brothers did, right, with Hank. But I think he's gonna bring those magics, or what you would call those assholes names. They're gonna come by when Hank comes by, and it's gonna be like a setup for Hank. Just a big old setup.
I just want to point out that Isaiah just called Paco Taco.
Paco Taco, who cares?
Whatever. Tomato, tomato. All right, so it's like, I mean, anyone have anything else for this episode?
No, but I really do believe in the breaking into the DEA and shooting the place up. I think he wants to die, and I think that's how he wants to do it.
That actually is a pretty sound theory, because it seems to me that he is still suffering the effects of cancer. It's like, I mean, in all those flash forward scenes that we've seen, he's still coughing and whatnot. Yes, his hair is growing back, but he doesn't seem to have recovered whatsoever.
Oh, he is coughing.
I think by this point he just seems to have accepted his fate and been like, you know what, fuck it. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out on my own terms. But in either case, like, we'll definitely find out about all this soon enough. Again, gang, we only have 7 episodes left. Can you believe it? Of Breaking Bad ever. And Geeks of the Round will be with you every step of the way. You can go, of course, always catch us on geeksoftheround.com, where we have a bunch of movie info and TV stuff. We'll have a lot more stuff for you guys actually this fall. If you have anything you want to say to us, you can go ahead and contact us at geeksoftheround@gmail.com. Be sure to also join the Geeks of the Round community. You'll find the link down there in the description. And also make sure, it's like, because the Breaking Bad episodes here, these will be the last ones you will find on my personal channel. Past this, you'll find them all on youtube.com/geeksoftheround, where we will be having starting with our Shield discussions, hosted by the one and only Matt Moore. They'll be starting on there, and also we'll be having a lot of other stuff for you. Be sure to stay tuned for that. We will see you guys next week.